You know that the main problem in Uzbekistan is corruption.
Wow, okay. Oh, right.
$16,000. How
Right.
can I enter to the best universities in England?
You know, combine active learning with passive learning together.
What about average salary in England? Добрый день, дорогие друзья! Сегодня мы возьмем эксклюзивное интервью у нашего гостя из Великобритании и узнаем, как поступить в мировые и престижные университеты Англии, такие как Оксфорд и Кембридж. А также мы узнаем о жизни в Англии, политике и о том, есть ли коррупция в Англии. Good afternoon, Mr. James. What's up? How are you?
Good afternoon to you too. I'm alright, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Good.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for, inviting me.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to coming.
Pleasure. It's good to be here.
Okay, Mr. James, tell me about yourself to our friends, followers.
Right, okay, sure. So my name is James. I was born here. Spent most of my life overseas, mainly in UK, England. And I went to school, college, university.
In England?
In England, yeah. So I studied there, spent most of my youth, teenage life in England, yeah.
It's really good. About 1 week has been quarantine was cancelled about 1 week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first thing you did after that.
First thing that I did after the end of the quarantine, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question. Okay. To be honest, this is my first time coming
Really?
out and having interviews.
It's like first time outside.
First time. Yeah. I mean, not including going out to the local supermarket
Oh, really? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's finally that time when I can actually go out and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's just I'm really happy that this quarantine is restrictions are over.
Yeah.
And, the bars and restaurants and everything's open.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the normal life like we used to before the quarantine.
Yeah, of course. And what did you learn during quarantine? Some kind of...
Wow, what did I learn during the quarantine? I learned that getting fat is easy.
Oh my God.
Gaining weight is much easier.
Okay.
To be honest, I kept working throughout the quarantine. I kept.
What did you do?
I'm a teacher.
You are a teacher?
I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
I'm
tutor.
I'm a tutor, English teacher.
Yeah.
And I teach Ielts as well to students and English. So I had students, and we kept online lessons on Zoom. And I have to say it was really tough at the beginning, but then
it became easier.
Then I think I sort of got a hang of it, and then so did the students.
Yeah.
And they really hated it at the beginning. Nobody liked the online lessons.
Yeah.
Absolutely nobody. But then, once we got the gist of it, it sort of became, much smoother. Yeah.
Mr. James, do you know how was quarantine in England? Maybe you talked with your friends or...
I mean, I kept in touch with my friends. Quarantine, when pandemic happened, it was tough. I mean, all over the world, not just in England, not in UK, not in Uzbekistan, but it was something that the whole Europe suffered. So did the West, so did the many other countries. When it comes to UK, particularly, the amount of people that passed away, the death toll of people passed away from coronavirus was much higher than Uzbekistan, which is really sad.
Yeah.
My thoughts and prayers go out to those people who actually passed away from this. There were restrictions. You must keep the mask on in public places, going to the shops. Self-isolation was, was installed, and it was strict as well.
Yeah.
But one thing I was impressed with Uzbekistan and Uzbek government is that because lockdown in here started from 15th or 16th of March.
Yeah.
And they were really, really strict. It was really strict. So I was very impressed. And Uzbek people overall, they are very, law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
And they follow that. And for the 5 months, they actually, stayed indoors, followed the rules, and it was very impressive. They did definitely better than the British people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were.
How quarantine changed you, like, into your life? Like, maybe it changed your lifestyle or something as well. Like.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it definitely did. I mean, not just mine. I think everyone else's.
Yeah.
Before quarantine, I would never imagine myself being at home for such an extensive period of time. I was inside the house for weeks without going outside, just ordering food, and getting those deliveries in, not going outside, and and do you know what? It just made me realize how lucky we are that we have this life, and then it makes you realize it must be really tough for those people who are in prison, because they're there for many, many years and stuff like that, and we were in inside the house for so long, and then you don't really think about these things, but it just sort of makes you think about other people as well. So how it must have been so tough. It makes you just appreciate what you have. It just really makes you appreciate what you have, the thing that we already have, our life, how valuable, how much we should appreciate that. So it made me definitely more appreciative. In this quarantine period.
Yeah. And what do you mostly like in Uzbekistan?
What do I like most about Uzbekistan? Well,
our kitchen or foods, like
cuisine. Cuisine is definitely something. I am really impressed with the variety of food that Uzbekistan has to offer. I love the shish kebabs they do.
What's your favorite shish kebab?
I mean, shish kebab. I really love shish kebab as well. They're really tasty. So that's plov is plov is very nice, isn't it? Like rice and meat and some carrots.
Fantastic.
Love the food. The weather is really good as well. Only the heat wave, I think, the heat wave that we have, it was the time when you're like, oh my god, this is really hot. But besides the heat wave, the overall weather, I like the weather. It's nice and dry and it's hot.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
I think in England it's like more like cool. Like
it's cooler, it's cloudier, and it's people as well. I would say, people here they're really friendly, and the lifestyle in Uzbekistan, it's laid back, so people not in a rush. So it has its own disadvantages as well, to be honest. Like I found that with myself. So if I had few things that needed to be done, like from a legal aspect of points, if I had to do some documents, and it takes time. Yeah. But it sort of reflects on the general lifestyle of people. People are a lot more laid back. They get things get done.
Yes.
But in their own time, in their own accord. So
Actually, you didn't say where did you study?
Oh right, okay. So I went to City College, studied City College, and I was lucky enough to study at Oxford Brookes University. Oxford Brookes. Yes. Yeah. And my major was in applied accountancy and finance. So I studied finance. It's a bit boring. Yeah. Yeah.
And tell me about life in England.
Wow. Okay. Right. Tell you the life about England.
Like, what do you think about life in England and in Uzbekistan? Like, difference maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, there's a massive difference, to be honest.
I guess in England, life is like more active,
It is. I mean, London is obviously it's a metropolitan city. It's really hectic, especially if you're young. There are lots of places to go, lots of bars and clubs, and lots of activities to do. I would say it's diverse, and it's really diverse. You meet lots of people from different parts of the world, and if you are friendly, if you're outgoing, if you're friendly, and you can really make good friends from all over the world. Yeah. Learn a lot about different cultures, their views, religion, traditions. And you can make lifelong friends. It can really widen your world outlook.
Yeah.
So,
what is the main difference? Like maybe
What's the main difference? I mean, there are loads of differences, to be honest. So yeah, in terms of the lifestyle, it's definitely a lot more active there than here. And you have variety of cuisines. Obviously, if you are foodie like I am, if you like trying out different foods, if you're adventurous, so there's obviously different kitchens, different foods, and you can try out different foods, and people. And there's definitely cultural clash as well, because people in the West, they are a lot more liberal. I mean, that's what I think, in my humble opinion, that people in the West are a lot more liberal than the people in Central Asia, in Eastern. I mean, in Eastern Europe and other parts. I mean, because we are shaped by our traditions, culture, religion, external influences. They shape us the way we think and the way we act. There's a lot of factors in the equation that needs to be taken into consideration, to be honest. Yeah.
Like, that the main problem in Uzbekistan is corruption. Does England has corruption?
Wow. Okay. Oh, right. I think I would say corruption pretty much happens anywhere in the world that you go, to be honest. So does in England, and I'm sure it happens in the almighty America as well. But
maybe you were a witness of this corruption, or
no, I haven't. Not in England, but I would say there are a level of corruption, to be honest. I'm sure there's a corruption, but there's a level of corruption. There's micro and macro corruption. But what I find in Uzbekistan, corruption is really sort of integrated culture in here. Like,
what do you mean?
What I'm trying to say is, if you want to get few things done in here, in this part of the world, you need to sort of tip. So you need to sort of tip to this person, tip to that person, in order to move few things a little bit more fast, I would say. And so there's a corruption in a small scale, which is visible for a normal person, and I'm sure you must have seen it as well. But you don't really have that sort of corruption in England. Maybe there is a corruption, but obviously must have been much higher level.
Corruption as well.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah. I guess there are a lot of corruption as well, maybe.
Where?
In England, maybe you don't know.
Maybe like I said, maybe in a high governmental level, I guess. Who knows? Yeah. But I wasn't a witness of any sort of a corruption.
Maybe.
But Uzbekistan has this sort of corruption because obviously it's due to the economical reason, social reasons, and the social structure as well. Like my friend have explained me, if you call a doctor to come to your house, you are sort of expected to put a couple of quid into their pocket, or if you go to see a doctor, you're expected to put a little bit of money into the pocket. The reason why you do that is because the salary that they receive is not as high as
it's really small.
It's not as high as it want to be, and I sort of sympathize with that. I really understand that, because they go through college, university. They study for 7 or 8 years to become
6, 7 years.
6 or 7. So I wouldn't know. So you study 6, 7 years, and then in the end you get that salary, and that salary is not much. And the prices here are substantially high, relatively to the salary that you receive. So, and I don't really blame them. I sort of understand that. But obviously, I think it's a work in progress. I'm sure Uzbekistan will improve over the period of time.
I hope.
It makes two of us.
But what about average salary in England?
Oh wow, okay. Average salary in
per
England.
month.
Right, okay. If I'm not mistaken, according to National Labour Statistic, I think yearly salary in UK, I think it's about £27,000. 27,000 pounds. That's a year, not a month.
I guess it's small amount of money for life in England.
I mean, that's an average, to be honest. I think that's according to statistic, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's about 27, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Around that, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So after removing tax, I don't know how much would that be in a month. So would it come to 1,800 maybe, more or less? Yeah.
1800
1,800 maybe.
per month.
Yeah. 1,800. Yeah, I would say it would come to 1,800, 1,900 a month after removing taxes and doing
taxes in England are like
you need to pay 20%, don't you? So you need to pay 20%.
In Uzbekistan as well, 20%.
As far as I know, I think in Uzbekistan you pay about 13 and a half. 13 and a half. If I'm not mistaken, maybe 12.
I don't know as well.
You may know
be
better.
But
when I was doing some research, I think it was about 12.
Okay. And what do you mostly miss from the life in England?
Wow, okay. What do I miss most about back home?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say what. I would say some moments. Like, I think it's a nostalgia, isn't it? Like, I sort of miss my friends when we, I miss my friends when we used to all go out and have fun, and then after going out, you come out of the bar or club and then you're drunk, and then you go to this kebab shop and then you order this greasy kebab, and then you eat that with your friends, and then it's good laughter and then fun, and
So what else can you do in England for fun?
I mean, there's a lot you can do for fun. I mean, there's a lot that you can do for fun. It really depends what you want to do, what you're really into. There's no limits to your imaginations. At my age, we used to go out a lot to different places. We used to do pub crawls with my friends, so that's fun as well. Playing variety of sports. Traveling. It's one of the things I miss a lot with my friends. Because as we grow up, you get a job, you start settling down and having family. But before that, going to road trips with your friends, especially if you are really close with them, you can make memories for a lifetime. I think that's sort of miss that sort of nostalgia, I would say.
Okay, Mr. James, I'm a student,
right.
And for example, I want to study in England. How can I enter to the best universities in England?
Right. Okay.
Oxford, Cambridge, or Oxford Brookes,
Yeah. No, I mean,
how can I enter?
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Right. So if you want to enter universities in UK, obviously, I mean, there are a variety of ways. Obviously, when students want to enter university, we have international students and we have domestic students as well. So someone like yourself who wants to study there, depending, how much time you have, how much, financial resources that's available to you, because that's definitely a key factor as well that needs to be taken into consideration. You can transfer and you can do A-levels. You can do A-levels there in England, and hopefully you can get good A-levels. Get good A-levels, and with your good A-levels, you submit application to university through UCAS to 5 university, and with your essay and UCAS point, and with your A-levels, and with the talents, like if you have some sort of a particular talent, like being able to play on some sort of instrument like fortepiano, or maybe you may have won some sort of a competitions, like you have like sort of a championship in chess somewhere. That is definitely a bonus. And universities there, they want to attract. It definitely helps. Being active, and or maybe you have done some sort of a charity.
Oh my God! It helps.
It definitely helps.
It's really cool.
Because universities, they want to attract well-rounded students that will study good, will make the university proud. So having some sort of a talent, being part of some sort of organization, volunteering somewhere, taking part in charities, raising money for awareness, it's definitely it's definitely a bonus as well. And obviously having a good grade at your school,
it helps.
A levels are the key bonus. And I'm sure if you have those ones, you can also apply, you can also ask for scholarships from the university as well. I'm sure they can fund you as well. Maybe, it may not be fully funded, but I'm sure they can partly fund you, to some extent. Maybe they can give you some sort of discounts or scholarship up to 20, 30%, 40%, I don't know. So it really depends on the university as well, and depends what programs they offer. because it has to do with the diversity as well, because they want to have, they would like to, university would like to have students from Uzbekistan, or students from Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, because there are not many students from this part of the world, and having students from this part of the world, at their university, it's good for them as well, because it's wildly, it's obviously it's more diverse, and it's good for the university's prestige too.
What do you think about our universities? Like, do you like them or what?
Right. Well, it's I had quite a bit of a conversation with other students, because as I said, I'm working as a teacher at the moment, and I'm definitely loving it. And I've prepared some students to university this year. I've prepared I've prepared about 12 students. 12 students this year, and luckily they all entered to university that they've chosen, and
it's really cool.
And
you are a good teacher.
Yeah. I mean, I gave my best, but I have to say they worked really, really extremely hard. They've given their best. We've practiced together a
there
lot.
Are a lot of smart students in Uzbekistan.
I would say they are hard workers. They've tried, and it really makes you happy, when you put in so much hours and so much effort into your students, and then they, at the beginning of the interview, because you ask them, like, what's the plan? How can I help you? What is it that I can help you with? And then they say, I want to enter to university. And then you say, which university is it? And then they tell you, blah, blah, blah. I want to enter to University of Westminster here, University of Singapore, Webster University. There's a British Management University in here as well, and so on, and etc. And then and then I say, okay, cool. And there are obviously a time factor as well, how much time we have, and on top of that, the level of the student as well. So the gap between the level of the student's knowledge and the time that we have, that gap is the stress factor of how much work that needs to be done with the student. But I'm very happy. We worked hard, we persevered, and they've entered, and they're happy, and that makes me happy. It makes me proud that some of the students that I had, they all entered university, and it makes me really, 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 really proud.
Before interview, you said that you have a band 9 from speaking course.
Yeah, I have done that. Yeah,
it's really amazing, Mr. Rams.
I wouldn't really say it's amazing, but yeah,
it's the best score.
It's a high score. And it's definitely attainable. It's definitely achievable to any students, obviously. And it's just I am a strong believer of how much hours you will put into your studies, and there's a factor of active studying and passive learning as well.
Passive learning is the key of everything.
Passive learning, I get really amazed how passive learning gets underestimated by students, because lots of students, they sort of go to school, they spend time with a teacher, and then they do a little bit of homework for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then they close the book, and then they wait 2 days and then come back to the class again to study with you. And I tell them, just don't do that. It's just, there's so much more you can do. Passive learning is really good way of learning, because your subconscious really clicks, it records, even if you are not studying, even if you're not learning. So I tell them, like, just listen to the audiobooks, okay? Just play the audiobooks, listen to it. Even if you don't understand, even if you don't register, even if there are so many words that you don't get it, but just listen to it, subconsciously your brain will pick it up, just like a muscle. It will pick it up. So watch movie, cartoons, documentaries, listen to audiobooks, listen to English or American radios, talk shows, and just do them. So
can you give some advice to our students, students who want to pass Ielts exam, how they can improve their English, or how they can get higher band?
Yeah, definitely. Well, as you know, in Ielts there are four parts. There's writing, listening, speaking, and reading as well. Reading. So there's 4 aspects, and in each of these 4 factors, they are they are divided into subcategories where you're going to be marked with. So, for example, in speaking, you will be marked on your, on your pronunciation, grammar, lexical resources, which is vocabulary, pronunciation. What else was there? Grammar. Yeah. So there are some, and so same thing with your writing as well. So there are categories, and when you start learning that, there's not sort of one way of doing it. You can always learn a little bit from this part, a little bit from that part. And like I was saying, my best advice to students would be, combine active learning with passive learning together. And that's
maybe you have your special way. Of learning.
I have some tricks and tips that I use with my students when I teach them, and it helps. At the beginning, it's really strange because loads of students, when they come to me, they have some sort of way of learning, and we need to rewrite the way traditional way of learning, because not every student is same. Every student is individual, and then they have different ways of learning. So you cannot really apply same learning, like one way of learning to 12 different students. You need to really find the way. So some students are stronger in writing, some students are stronger in reading, and some are in speaking, and they have different weaknesses. And some people, they learn by reading. Some students, they learn by visuals. Some students, they learn by listening. And it's just a bond that you build between yourself and the student. And once you know each other really well, it's just the key moving forward. So your student, their weaknesses, their strength, and then you want to focus on that weaknesses that they have. And once you focus on that, I think you can really help them to sort of level out. Because as a teacher, your job is to make sure that your students are well-rounded. You don't want them to be too strong in speaking and weak in writing. You don't want them to be strong in reading and nothing in speaking. So you want to make sure that everything is sort of balanced, and then you can move everything in the same way. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge when it comes to teaching.
I noticed that you are really like your job, yes, teaching.
I do. I enjoy that.
Why teaching? Like, you studied in England, like you studied in one of the best universities, like Oxford, Brookes, and why teaching? Why tutor?
Why teaching?
You can work everywhere, in every company, in every big company.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. That's a good question, to be honest. Before teaching, obviously, I have worked in different sort of jobs within my field, and
in England.
Yeah, in England, and office jobs are good. They are great, to some extent, especially when you're young.
They are perspective.
I mean, definitely there's a perspective of it. You work in an office job, you get there 9 o'clock, and then you work there until 5 or 6, depending. Monday to Friday, on Friday you go out and then you have fun with your friends, and then I've done that. It's fantastic, it's good as well. But you see, especially with accounting when you work in that field, in office jobs, there is one thing that I sort of realized. When you work in the office, you work for many hours, for many months, and maybe sometimes many years, and after that there's not much you can really show for it. There's nothing tangible that you have done. You've done some financing, you've done some accounting. There are some papers to it. You've done it, but there is no tangible thing. You can't really see what you have done. And I didn't really plan to be a teacher. I have to be absolutely honest with you. My students, they know that. It wasn't sort of a plan to be a teacher. I never planned to be a teacher. I sort of stumbled upon it through a friend. And the great thing about teaching is this, that you have this student that comes to you, and they have a weakness. You know their weaknesses. You try to be brutally honest with your students in a way, and don't obviously shatter their confidence. And I try to be honest with them. I don't want to ruin your confidence, but I have to be completely honest with you, because honesty is the best policy. And then you know their weakness, you explain to them, and then you start working towards the progress. And you work, and after about 3 months, you see a massive difference from where they were to where they are now. Because when I was doing online lessons, I always record my online lessons.
Yeah.
So every lesson is recorded. And you can actually see how you were from on the lesson number 1 and how you are in lesson number, 25.
Mr. James, is it possible to learn English in a 3 months period of time? 3 months period of time.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for the question, I guess. Thank you. 3 months time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
Because one English level, for example, beginner, continues like 3 months.
right.
Yes, and is it possible from the beginning to the end to like study English like in a 3 months period of time?
Right, okay. Well, that is definitely subjective, to be honest. It's subjective. Yes, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
3 months is possible for massive progress. 3 months definitely possible to have like a, massive progress where you can actually speak, interact and talk, understand in English. 3 months is a good period of time. But I would say a lot depends on the
Student, yeah.
Student is definitely key playing factor. So
Yeah.
does on the teacher. Don't get me wrong. Teacher plays important role too. But if teacher is very competent and knowledgeable and knows what he's doing, and then can give right resources and show the right path to the student, and then if student can actually understand, comprehend, and follow the orders and just do what he's told, I'm sure
That it's possible.
that it is definitely possible to have. And quality is a key factor as well. Quality is a key factor because I meet different types of students from different levels of English. I have met students like who are higher level, like upper intermediate, advanced level, and they can speak really well. Like they can speak really well on certain topics, about their city, about their school, about a few things.
Basic questions.
Yeah, they can speak really, really well, and it's really impressive. And then they use really good resources like vocabulary, whatnot. But the moment you start switching to a different topic, like to the news, or start switching to the, to politics or medicine, or
it became really hard.
Ask their opinion. Ask their opinion about something, where they stand on certain issues, on certain subjects, they start having difficulties of expressing themselves clearly. So which means what? Which means that student is not exposed to wide variety of topics. So they are exposed to selected topics. They are very comfortable within few topics. But however, once you start switching to something more complex, you can see the struggle.
Yeah.
So how can you fix that? Be more involved, read more, know more, see what's going on in the world, watch more news, read more articles, watch more documentaries, speak and have a close relationship with your teacher. And I think it's a definitely driving factor. If your teacher is friendly and then you have a good relationship with him, open up.
Before interview, I did some research and I found that in order to speak as good as you do,
right,
you should study like 1,000 hours.
Right. Okay.
Is it like right? Is it?
Yes, in a way it is. Yes. As we all know, there are so many languages in the world. I mean, we have 195 countries in the world, and each country has their own language, and each region has their languages. And I think in the world, we have about 4,000 different languages. There's thousands of different languages in the world, different dialects, different languages within, in the world. And languages are divided into categories, different categories. There is obviously easy, medium, hard, and extremely difficult.
Yeah, you are right.
And English, Spanish, French, Portuguese
are the easiest one.
Are in a sort of easy category, and
I've read that.
Yeah, and to be able to speak good in this particular languages, you need to spend about 700 to 800 hours. 800 hours of self-studying. That's not just studying with teacher as well.
Yeah.
That's more of a passive learning as well. Passive learning plays key factor there.
Overall, you should study like 1,000 hours.
Yeah,
like
I think
with your teachers, passive learning.
Passive learning, active learning as well. But passive learning is going to help you massively. I would say passive learning is more important than active learning. Once you go and then you know few important parts from your teacher through active learning, like you know the grammar, you know the structure, you know how to formulate the structure, you know how to express. Once you know a few bits and pieces, I think you should switch to self-studying, working on yourself, and that is just gonna push you beyond your expectation. It has a massive change in your life.
We talked about education system in England, but we didn't talk about tuition fee.
Right.
So tell me about like tuition fee. What is the average tuition fee in England?
Right. Okay. So tuition fee for home students and international students are different.
Yeah.
Home students, they pay less than international students. So international students need to pay a little bit more to study there.
How much?
That depends on the university, and that also depends on the course that you study. Depends what university you study, what course you study, and is it bachelor's or is it master's as well.
Let's take your university, like
right
Oxford.
Now,
like.
Okay, so on average, students that going to study on bachelor's, right? They should budget their tuition fee around $16,000.
$16,000?
£16,000.
Pounds?
Yeah, £16,000.
Oh my God, it's too much.
On average, so it's a good benchmark. It's a good benchmark for a student to consider to study on a yearly basis.
In
and plus, you have
it's like 3,000 in order to study in Westminster, you know.
Oh, is it 3,000?
3,000, but oh my God, 60,000.
No, not 60, 16, 16.
16. Oh my God.
16. Yeah, and home students, they pay about 9,000.
9.
Yeah.
It's too much. Like.
The prices, tuition fees has gone up. It used to be, I remember a while back when my friends were studying, they used to pay £3,000. Home students used to pay £3,000 to the university, but then eventually the prices, they rose.
But are there scholarships for international students?
Yes.
Tell me about
I'm sure you can get scholarships for students. Now, scholarships work in certain way, and it applies differently to different countries as well, and organizations that issue scholarships as well. That's another factor that needs to be considered. So, I remember I had a friend of mine. She used to study at LSE, London School of Economics, and she was from Kazakhstan. And she was telling me that LSE and Kazakhstan government, they have some sort of a relationship where smart students or extremely talented students can study at LSE and get some sort of a scholarship or reduced prices, so they can get scholarships. If I'm not mistaken, up to 50% or something. Yeah,
50%.
Up to 50%, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. So, but the Kazakhstan embassy had some sort of relationship with that university, so that's definitely a factor as well to take into consideration.
Okay. Are you missing England? And if yes, when you are planning to return?
Oh, right. Okay. Do I miss England? Well, I do. Time to time, I do. So once these pandemic things are, in order, it's a lot. To be honest, I sort of feel safer here than back home at the moment. That is due to the number of people who are infected, and there's definitely a higher chance of you getting infected there than here. So in terms of traveling, I actually want to travel a little bit more once this pandemic things are sorted. I actually want to travel to China.
China.
I actually definitely want to travel to China. There's,
Do you know Chinese?
No, I don't.
I guess you
no.
can easily speak there in English.
I'm sure that yeah.
But Chinese, like China is like so dangerous now.
Yeah, China is
Yeah.
definitely. But it's always been. I always wanted to check out China. So definitely, once pandemics are sorted, probably I'm going to travel more east. Want to travel to China. Definitely want to discover Japan for myself, and go to Southeast Asia from there, and see what it takes.
How many years you were in England?
Well, like I said, I've lived there about half of my life. There, like once I was young
16
adult.
years. 16 years.
Yeah, about close to 16 years.
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God, it's too much.
When I was young adult, I moved there. When I was young adult, I
Yeah.
moved there, and I spent most of my life there. Yeah.
Achievement you are most proud of, like.
My most proud achievement. Wow, that's a good question, to be honest. I think it's yet to come. I would say it's yet to come. I don't really see myself as someone who achieved much in life, to be honest. I don't really consider myself as someone who has done something.
Maybe the thing you are most proud of, or I don't know, like.
Right, okay.
Maybe you did some charity or
Right, okay.
voluntary.
When I was young, I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be a scientist. I really loved physics, and I was really keen on astronomy. So I actually wanted to study science, but my dad sort of, took me out of it, saying like, there's not much money in the science, and it's not for you, and stuff like that. And I remember I entered the competition, and with my friends, we sort of came up with this device, and that device was, and we were young, and we came up with this device where it sort of measures, how much water needs to be watered into the farmlands or into the greenhouses, so it's not overused. The water is not overused for the plantation for the plantations. So using the water as efficiently, as effectively as possibly we can within the agriculture industry. So that we came up with that device, and we did that device, and we went into we won the competition. We actually came. I actually came third. Third, yes. So there were some glitches. There were some questions that was asked, and we obviously know how to answer them. And I was awarded third place. But the intention was a lot more bigger than the competition. Our intention was the world faces shortage of water. How can we improve? How can we do it? And we sort of came up with that device, which sort of measures how much water needs to be, and if it's within that level, how much has been done, and so we sort of came up with that devices, and it worked. But that's something that when I look back on the memory lane, that makes me sort of happy, because it was a naive intention of making the world a better place.
So, Mr. Jens, in this amazing note, we are ending our interview. So, thank you very much.
No, thank you. It was nice. It was nice talking to you.
It was really interesting for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very happy about your school project. So I wish you best of luck and
thank you.
And prosperity. And then I hope your channel gets bigger and grows, and then you reach new highs. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.